Tajuddin Abbas, the preferred candidate for the speakership seat for the All Progressives Congress and President-elect Bola Tinubu, has defended the party's decision to zone the seat to the Northwest geopolitical zone. Tajuddin says the Northwest deserves the Speaker and Deputy Speaker President because of the number of lawmakers elected from there and a large number of votes it gave the party during the February 25 presidential election. He also says the party's choice to pick him is based on competence, capacity and experience. The preferred Deputy Speaker, Honorable Benjamin Kawu, also says his nomination will give the Southeast a sense of belonging in national politics and help the APC to be more acceptable among the Igbos.
If the party is going to use competence as its yardstick, I am the right person to actually be picked. So the fact that they did what I expect them to do, I feel very elated. I feel very satisfied. We are in the process. We have reached out to so many and will continue reaching out to all of them. Before the end of next week, I assure you all the candidates, all the contestants will reach out to them. We will beg them, we will ask them to come on board so that we can work for the good of the institution.
What they have done with this nomination is in the spirit of inclusion. The Southeast is going to feel the power of cohesion, and national loyalty is going to be driven by virtue of this that has taken place. It was a wise decision to include the Southeasterners in the structure of government that is being formed.
Well, a senator-elect who is not in the APC is warning the party against zoning the position of the presiding officers of the Senate. Sumaila Kawu, a senator-elect of the NNPP, says APC's arrangement is an insult to opposition members-elect of the 10th National Assembly. Well, Senator-elect Kawu was also a former aide to President Muhammadu Buhari on National Assembly matters before he defected to NNPP. He joins us now in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you, my sister.
A good place to start would be to for you to tell us more. Why do you think that the APC deciding who should be the presiding members as they have the majority is an insult to the rest of you?
Well, I think we are practicing constitutional democracy. We are guided by the Constitution. What is the provision of the Constitution in election or selection of presiding officers? It's matter. It is the business of 109, not the business of APC. All of us, 109 or 360, have the right to contest to become Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Senate President, or Deputy Senate President. The party in the presidential system of government has less to offer. It is not a parliamentary system of government where the overbearing of a party is enormous. In the presidential system of government, in the selection of the leadership, it is the business of all political parties, and our vote are equal. There is difference between principal officers and presiding officers. Presiding officers are elected by the whole members of the parliament, members elect. Well, the principal officers are elected or selected or nominated by the political party. Yes, APC has majority in the Senate. It is their own right, by virtue of the Senate rule, to produce House leader and 3 remaining positions of the majority. Well, the majority parties, all of us, according to the Senate rules, we are to produce the remaining 4 leadership. Therefore, the 8 are the leaders of the party, selected by the party.
Let me jump in here, Kawu. And it's quite an interesting one, listening to you now that you are in the NNPP. By the way, how is it going with you? Are you still very close to the president since you decamped?
Well, our president is the father of the nation, and he is our father, he is our leader. We followed President for donkey years. He contested election almost 5 times. I voted for him for 4 times.
You're still very close to him?
We are not in the same party with him.
You know where I'm headed? You once an aide to the President on National Assembly matters.
Yes.
So if you were still in the APC, speaking objectively with a party that has the majority, would you be saying what you're saying today, that...
Maybe you need to know who am I before. I was in the House for 12 years before I became SSA to Mr. President. Wait. I was Deputy Minority Leader in the House of Representatives. I was Deputy to the current Speaker, Pemi Baja. I was Deputy to Muhammadu Ali Ndume for 4 years. I was an opposition member. I am among the few members who lead members to confront PDP in 2011 to insult the leadership, to bring Amin Waziri Tambol and Emeka Ihedioha.
And you think you can do that again?
We can do it again, and I supported...
On what premise?
It is the number, it is the constitution.
The APC has a number.
How much is the number?
So when you talk about number, you're talking about collectively, and it's not a fact that every member of every other opposition party will come under your umbrella and work with you.
Yes, the same with the APC. They can't come in the same block. That is the reason why, because they have the majority, very slim majority, we choose President of the Senate and Deputy President of the Senate among themselves.
Apart from, you did say this is an insult to the rest of you, but you also said in a recent interview that the legitimacy of National Assembly before Nigerian people can be enhanced or diminished by the quality of its leadership.
Quite all right.
You said that. And I want to ask, so when you talk about the quality of the leadership, who is the ideal candidate? In your opinion, what are the key qualities and characteristics that you are looking for? Because you seem to have a problem with what the APC has done. Is it with the people they have nominated, or with the way and manner they have gone about it?
Wait. We are practicing, as I told you before, we are practicing constitutional democracy. This presidential system of government has an intent, has a reason of doing it. Separation of power. The separation of power, the independence of the legislature. The legislature is the most important organ in the parliament. We have 3 constitutional responsibilities: lawmaking, representation, and oversight. Lawmaking and oversight is representation and oversight as the most important role of legislature in Nigeria. Therefore, when I talk about quality, competency, I think for us to choose one among ourselves, it will be better than executive, who is a sister organ. We are not an agency of government, of the executive or of the federal government. We are an organ, independent.
Rightly said. So do you have a problem with the individuals that have come up? I mean, we're talking about the likes of Senator Akpabio and Tajuddin and the right. Is it a problem with the individuals or the manner in which they were nominated?
The process. I don't have any problem with one of them. I respect them. They are experienced legislators. Some of them will serve in the National Assembly together. And for example, Barrow is my senior. He was in the House from 1999 to 2003. Well, I started in 2003 to 2015 before I became SSA. Therefore, I have a respect for them. But in the parliament, in the business of democracy, independent of the legislature, parliament is the most important organ. The only difference between democracy and autocracy or autocratic leadership is parliament. If we allowed this to happen, we don't know what will happen tomorrow.
Certainly. And now let's hazard a guess and look at the future, if we can have to look at that prism. And the Southeast is not in this equation, because when we talk about what the opposition is looking for, it doesn't seem as if your group is also rooting for the Southeast, is it?
Quite all right. We are working with the Southeast. We are working with the Southeast.
To present a speaker?
We are working with, I am from the Senate, I'm in the Senate angle. We are working with Southeast, and from all indications, they have 2 candidates from Southeast. And we are working with them to see how we can have, we have 3 candidates from our own camp. Kawu Orji, who is from Abia. Osita is in Aso, who is from Imo. And Abdulaziz Yari from Zamfara.
But isn't this a bigger problem because we've seen precedents. When the leadership that emerges is at variance with the wishes of the political party, then you have a sour relationship between the legislature and the executive, which is what happened in the 8th Senate with Bukola Saraki. You know that very well. You've been there for 20 years, like you said. So isn't that a problem? If you say you do not want this set of people just because their parties have nominated them, and another set emerges that the party is not interested in, what do you think is going to happen to the work of legislature?
Let me ask you a question. In 2011, when we started a house project, I was a deputy minority leader, or I proposed deputy minority leader then. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, is in forefront, advising us, give us moral boosting, helping us to go against the wish of the executive. Because he is very consistent with the constitution, very consistent with the tenet of democracy. Even in the last Senate, Muhammad Ali Ndume, he insists that he must contest, and he contested. Therefore, I think what is more important for us is to follow the rule of law. Whenever we are talking about democracy, democracy is rule of law. What is the provision of our constitution? What is the provision of our guidance, principle guidance document, which is House and
when you
Senate?
Say that, does it explain the fact that you don't have a candidate?
We have a candidate. Certainly we have a candidate.
When you say we, who are the we?
We are, as a group, like minds.
And who
is beyond the opposition. Is beyond the opposition. For example, Abdul Aziz Yari is my candidate, and some of us are supporting Kalu Orji. Some of us are supporting Osita Izna. So at the end, it is a politics. We will sit down and sort it out among ourselves and present a best team to the Nigeria.
So you foresee, because you already said, well, you've done it before and you can do it again. You already foresee what happened in the 8th Assembly where they went against the ruling party. So you think bringing Abdulaziz Yari with the other opposition members could actually be
technically you are supporting impunity.
A successful move.
Are you supporting impunity?
No, I'm the one asking the question.
Are you supporting dictatorship?
I'm asking the question.
Do you want telling me that what happened on that very material time is good to the democracy?
I'm asking you a question. I'm the one asking the question.
Okay, me too, I'm asking you a question. From my understanding, before the emergence of Saraki and the EK, they followed constitutional provision to the level up to the level where they became Senate President and DSP.
So
Dogara and so. There was nothing. For me, my thinking,
good,
as Democrat, and some of Asiwaju, son of Asiwaju, because he is father of Democrats. He is among the father of Democrats in Nigeria. My thinking is that Asiwaju, our Baba, will allow the parliament to choose whoever they like in accordance with the constitution. What do you want? What do you want? Or what do you want somebody to come and do for you?
Okay, so where is the problem here? You boast that you have the numbers and you can do it again. So if the party, the governing party, has identified individuals it wants in the leadership position of the National Assembly, at the end of the day, on the floor of the Senate, you carry out the business of voting and electing your leaders. So why is this such a challenge? Why is this such a brouhaha? If the party says, we want Kawu to be
Senate president.
Exactly. And you go to the floor of the Senate in June, and your members don't vote for you. Why are we here?
But you need to know the meaning of parliament. Parliament is talking. We need to explain to Nigeria. Nigerians need to know. The Senate president is a very exalted position, number 3. We are there to make law for Nigerians. Therefore, it is our responsibility to explain to Nigeria the process. We are calling them to follow the process. I think for now, almost we are going for the 6th National Assembly in this democracy.
So before we let you go now, let's go. The APC has spoken publicly that this is where it stands on this. Your leader, who was the presidential candidate, Rabi Musa Konkonso, also a one-time senator, has he spoken to members like yourself, as senator-elect, on who to elect?
You know, Senator Robbie Musa Kwankwaso is Democrat. He's a Democrat.
Being a Democrat doesn't mean that you can't say this is who
He will give us a guide.
In fact, that is a
he will give us a guide. Okay, the guide is let us get somebody who will respect democracy, who will respect Nigeria, who will respect the psyche of Nigeria.
Has he offered his guide?
He offered a guide.
And guidance is pointing to
No, you see, he's not a dictator. Therefore, all what he is doing to us is to guide us on where we are going. We will use his word, we will use his action, and go into the, where we can make Nigeria great again. It is not like a relationship between Godson and Godfather. He is very Democrat.
So in other words, he's not spoken categorically on who to elect.
He talked categorically because he is Democrat.
And
he is respecting Constitution.
And
So
who is that? Who is that candidate?
His own is follow the Constitution, follow the due process, do what is needful. We have so many challenges in Nigeria. Be serious on what you are doing.
You know, for instance, your other brother and party member and former House member Abdul Mumin Jibrin has spoken to the press that he's gone to visit Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the man, president-elect you also called father of democracy, where he said the whole finger is pointing towards Tajuddin Abbas. So is that also indicative that perhaps some party members of yours will toe that line as indicated by Jibrin?
It is individual conviction. All I know, it is personal decision of my good brother, Prince Odlumomini, to visit Asiwaju. Asiwaju is president-elect, you need to know. And even we left APC last year. I was Asiwaju's coordinator in Kano. He was Asiwaju's spokesman or leader of one group of Asiwaju. Therefore, there is a working relationship between even me and Asiwaju. We are in the opposition with Asiwaju for 12 years. And I spent 7 years in APC with Asiwaju. I was a member of APC NEC. I was a member of Central Merger Committee, the committee that formed APC. I was in the National Caucus of APC.
Well, I think at this point, I would like to thank you for your time, Sumaila Kawu, and I really hope we'll come back and have this conversation and ask more questions about what true democracy is. Many thanks for your time.